Okay, so let's start with the first question that you guys had, which is maintenance mode while you're sick, which I think is what you guys are talking about, like when you get sick or family gets sick, what do you do? Everything kind of all comes undone, right? When you're sick and you lose momentum and you don't know what to do. So my advice to you for this is to stop pushing it. Stop trying to force yourself to get more done. Stop forcing yourself to try and keep going and because ultimately what happens is that you don't heal as quickly and it ends up getting more frustrating. And I know it's really hard to kind of let go of all of those tasks and things that you were working on that you want to get finished, but you got to just focus on getting better. I have told this story before, but back in the springtime, my son fell and broke his nose. And for 2 days, his nose and his upper lip, his tooth went through his lip. And his lip was so swollen and his nose was so swollen that they were touching and he couldn't breathe out of his nose because his nostrils were blocked from the swelling. And during those days, I didn't worry about anything. I didn't worry about dishes. I did just kind of did everyday dishes. I didn't worry about work things. I didn't worry about big projects or anything like that. I focused on him so that he could heal up. And so that's kind of my advice to you, is to stop worrying about everything else. Yeah, it's going to feel like a lot is coming undone. Yeah, it's going to feel like you're falling further and further behind. But if you don't take the time to actually rest and heal up, you're never going to get fully out of it, and it's going to prolong it. So instead of being sick for a day or two, you're going to be sick for a week, still not making any momentum. So it's kind of like time blocking. I really, in a different sense, but I really do believe in whatever you're doing, focusing all of your attention on it. Single tasking. We talk a lot and are sent the message a lot that moms are great multitaskers, and we're not. Most of us are not. I'm not. I know that when I'm trying to multitask and do a million different things, I end up getting nothing done. So I want you to start thinking about single tasking and applying it to time blocking, which is in the course, but also when you're sick, single task that. You're sick, do the bare minimum, get through your days, get yourself healthy, and then do more. Hey, Heather. So that's kind of, Heather, just if you have specific decluttering questions or anything, put them in the chat. This is your chance to pick my brain basically and get specific answers to the questions that you have. I have a list of questions that other moms put in, but feel free to put your questions in the chat. And then if you want to do a little face-to-face later, we can do that too. Okay, so actually 2 people put vacation prep. So I think you mean packing, which honestly, I haven't really done a whole lot of. We've moved a lot, but to me, when you're prepping to go somewhere, go as minimal as possible, which seems counterintuitive when you have kids. You're like, oh my gosh, I need to bring everything. You don't. You need the basic essentials. And I can tell you guys this confidently because there was a mom that I was working with in person. I do one-on-one clients locally where I work with them actually in their homes. And they were going on an 8-week vacation. And she was like, what do I need to bring? And I challenged her to only bring the bare minimum for that 8 weeks while they were traveling around. Their clothes, bathroom stuff, a couple toys, or the tablets for the big kids while they were doing the driving or flying. And she was like, oof, I don't know if I can do that. And I told her, I just challenged her. I was like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You don't have to do it, but go on this vacation with as little as possible. And then when you come home, see if your perspective on the clutter in your home has changed. And she got back about a month ago and was like, oh my gosh, you were right. We didn't have a whole lot of stuff. We had the essentials. We had our clothes. We had some toys, which I think they only brought a Lego set or something, and the tablets for the kids. But she was like, they were so happy. They played outside. They played with each other. They made up games. And when she did get home from that 8-week vacation, she had a new fire lit under her butt to declutter her home. Because she was like, and that's what I was hoping would happen, is that they would get that 8-week kind of respite from all of their stuff, and they would come back and see it in a different light of, oh, wow, like this is all just junk that we don't need, that I'm not using, that we don't want, that is not serving us. And so that was pretty cool. So for vacation prep, I say pack as minimally as possible. Depending on like the duration of the stay, obviously, you know, who knows what that actually looks like, but the less suitcases, the better. The less you have to carry around and manage and remember, the better. So that you can actually enjoy your time wherever it is that you're going, instead of like worrying about like, where's all this stuff? How do I make it fit in the diaper bag? All these things. Less is more for vacation. Okay. He's tired. Dog supplies. Amy asked about dog supplies. So we have a St. Bernard Golden Retriever. He's like 120 pounds. He's giant. And I kind of treat his toys and supplies like my kids. I'm like, you have enough. You have everything you need. And I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of excess toys. So we don't even have like a dog toy bin or anything. We give him one toy at a time. We let him destroy that toy before we get him another one. And we buy the little bit higher quality ones because he is a chewer. And we want them to last a little bit longer. So like right now he has this little like black and red plastic bone thing, and he just chews on it and chews and chews and chews and chews. And then we have his harness because he's a St. Bernard. He doesn't have a collar. He's got a full-on harness, his leash, and that's pretty much it. I mean, we have a dog brush and then nail clippers that I keep it in the laundry room under our utility sink so that I can do it all in there and it's easy to clean up. And that's where I keep his harness and his leash. I just keep it all together. I've got a little rectangular bin. I can take a picture of it for you guys later and put it up in the group, but I don't buy a whole lot of excess toys. Then for his food and his bowls, we keep it up here in the laundry room as well because it's just easy to clean. It's out of the way. I don't have to worry about like the baby getting into it. Or we used to keep it in our kitchen, and I hated that because it was always a mess and it was gross. But we keep it up here in the laundry room now, and we put his dog food into a big plastic Rubbermaid bin and feed him twice a day and fill it up in the utility sink. So I can put pictures up of that as well. But just like kids don't need a million toys, dogs don't need a million toys. Okay, they need to be played with. They need your attention. They need to go outside with you. They're very much similar to human kids, right? We think they need a lot and they don't. So I'm not a dog therapist. I'm not a dog trainer. So if you have a dog who's like needs a lot of things to like be stimulated, I would probably just give you the same advice as your kids. Like we're tricked into thinking they need a lot of things and they don't. They need attention. They need physical activity. They need to get outside more than they need, you know, a basket full of toys. Okay. If you guys have questions about these things as we're going, put them in the chat or raise your hand. I think there's a raise your hand option on here, or jump on video if you want in a little bit. Okay, so now kids' books and DVDs. I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys know this is how I feel about DVDs. They're kind of like VHSs. Who has them anymore? Like, you can get everything on a digital file. So I don't buy movies anymore. I don't. I have some classic movies like Elf. What else do we have? I can't remember. But we have a little like zipper file. So the little like book thing that goes like this. So we don't have the cases. If you have DVD boxes, get rid of them. All right, because they're gonna end up clutter and they're gonna take up space when you could put them in a little binder thing and get them out of the way. So a lot of people have like full-on shelves dedicated to their DVD boxes. If you like that as like a decor or a centerpiece, by all means, do it. I don't like it. I just don't. They're hard to manage. Like I said, usually it's a whole nother shelf that you have completely dedicated to just DVDs, which is crazy to me. Get the little zipper file, you know, the thing that you used to put like the mixed CDs in back in the day. And then in the future, just go digital. Just go digital. unless it's like a really, really special to you movie. Like we have Elf. Like I said, Elf. That's the only one that I can think of that we watch often enough to have like an actual copy of. We have other ones, but that's the one that's my favorite. So, or things like the Harry Potter movies, which I want to get, but I just haven't done it yet. But for the most part, guys, get rid of your DVD boxes. Stop trying to organize them. Stop trying to get like DVD towers. It's 2018. We can get digital copies. Books for kids. So books are different because everybody loves books, which is great. That's totally normal. I love and believe in books, but we don't have a whole lot. Like we have some classic ones that we love, that we read often, that now that Kaylee is a baby, that I want to read with her throughout her childhood. And I gotta put pictures. So after this call, I'll put pictures up of books, of the books that we have. You guys are gonna be like, wow, you don't have a lot. It doesn't look like a lot, but it is a lot. Like it would take us like all year to read these books. That's actually not true. But we probably have enough where we could read one new book every day for a year. Okay, it just doesn't look like a lot because we're used to seeing so many that it looks like we're deprived. And I promise you, we are not deprived. Like we have enough books, like books for days, but it's not overwhelming. And I am able to manage it so that I don't have to have this big complicated bookshelf system that is overwhelming. And I do actually a book rotation. So we don't always talk about like toy rotations or book rotations very often, but I do a book rotation. Like if you guys can see right here, like those are Kaylee's books. I have my computer. Hey, you guys get behind the scenes today. How do I go this way? Okay, so I got to go this way. But she has a little shelf right here, and I have like 4 or 5 books at a time displayed so that she can have the variety. She can see her books. She can read them. She can enjoy them. And I do the same thing in my big kids room. So I have all the books on the shelf. I'll post pictures of it after this video. And I will pull different things out for them. So they have their chapter books that they love to have and they love to read. And they have their own systems for that now because they're 7 and 9 years old and they can do that. But for like storybooks, like we like the Little Miss and Mr. Men books, like I'll cycle those out and kind of put them out on their shelves so that they have something a little bit lighter and easier to read than those big long chapter books. Or like for my son, it's sports magazines. Like he loves like the NFL and the college football magazines. So I put those out for them and I cycle them out so that they have new content. And yeah, it's like the same books that they've read for a long time, but they haven't seen it in 6 months to a year. So when I pull it out, they're like, oh, wow, I forgot all about this book. I love this book. And so we have enough to have variety, and we're actually reading the books, and they like the books that we have, and it's not overwhelming, because the thing about books is that you can have so many that you never get to them. Like they just go there to die, and they're not paid attention to, and they're not read, which defeats the purpose of books, right? If there's too many to read, it totally defeats the purpose. And you probably already have like your select favorites. I see something in the chat, so I'll come to that in a minute. But you probably already have your favorites that you cycle through. Keep those ones and then get a library card, okay? The very first thing we do when we move, because we've lived in like 7 different cities in the last like, I can't remember. It's like 5 to 7 cities in the last like 5 to 7 years, okay? A lot of cities. We were moving every year for a long time, and this is the longest that we've been in a place for a while now. And we're just coming up on the year mark. So every place we move, every new city that we move to, the very first thing that we did was get a library card so that we could go get new books and do it that way. So we would make a weekly trip to the library. I love that that's been a part of my kids' childhood, and that's something that they're learning is the value and the importance of libraries. If you haven't been to a library in a while, they've updated them a lot. They have a lot of cool things depending on where you're at. Like the one that we're at right now, we'll rent out like musical instruments and board games. And they have like computer classes and video classes and reading with the dogs. And if you're not utilizing your local library, I highly, highly recommend it, because then you get access to all of the brand new books that your kids want to read, but you don't have to buy, and you don't have to manage at your home. Take advantage of libraries. Okay, I'm gonna check the chat real quick. I'm old school, but don't have a shelf dedicated. I'll take a pic and send it in the group later. Oh, for DVDs. Okay. Yeah, and just the little zipper file. So I'll put the zipper thing that we have too for the DVDs, because we use it for DVDs, but we also use it for their games, which they have a ton of. The rest of my house I've broken down about today. Yeah, libraries. Utilize the library. Just because it makes your life easier. You don't have to store everything in your house. You still get all of the variety, but I just think it's a really cool thing that my kids have been able to experience, is going to the library and doing the things at the library. And they usually have like all kinds of like kids classes, baby classes. Some of the libraries that we've been to haven't been as great. Some of them have been okay. And like the one that we're at now is amazing. But the other thing about libraries is that the more you go, the better they get. I mean, the more that they're used, the better they get, because they get feedback from you, what you want, what you don't want, you know, what you want more of, what kind of classes, and that kind of stuff. So use your library. I can vouch for the library stuff too. They even have little toys to check out. Yeah, Amy, and I think that's something that is kind of new. I never saw it until we got to Idaho. Florida had, they had a lot of like in-person stuff that you could do. Like they had like Minecraft month, where every week they were doing like art projects surrounding Minecraft. It's okay. Which was really cool. But yeah, there's so many cool things. And this place that we have has the toys, like toys and games. And my kids rented a guitar one time, which was kind of scary, like bringing home that and being responsible, but it was like a cheap little guitar. Lots and lots of cool stuff. Okay, so kids' books and DVDs. Get rid of all your books. Like I said, you probably, not all of your books, you probably have a big chunk that you read regularly that you love, and the rest, like you feel like you have to have because you've always had them and everybody needs books, right? Keep the ones that you guys actually read and use. And I'll put the pictures up of in our group. And the dog food. I'm taking notes on everything. I gotta take pictures of and put it in there. Okay, holiday stuff and seasonal stuff. So I'm going to talk about holiday stuff first, because holiday stuff, everybody, not everybody, lots of people love to be festive and put out their Christmas decorations and their big stuff that happens at Christmas. I'm obviously clearly not that type of person. But I mean, we do have a big box. And part of the reason that we are not those people right now is because we've moved so much that we haven't really, we're like, we need to just have the bare minimum, because we're not going to pack it up and move it across the country, right? So every year we've kind of just gotten a cheap little Christmas tree, made it festive and fun, and made it our own, and then sold it when we moved. I know that's not everybody's situation. So when it comes to your holiday stuff, I just recommend that you know what your storage is. Know how much space you have for storage, and know where you are keeping it, and label it and keep it super duper organized, because otherwise what happens, like this, your holiday stuff should be a fun thing to do with your family. Okay, it shouldn't be something that is like stressful, a frustration, where you're detangling lights and finding, you know, pulling out boxes of things and only to realize that it's broken or missing pieces. Okay, know your storage space, know how much you actually have so that it fits, and then take care of it so that you can actually enjoy these holiday times. And usually, honestly, when that comes into play is when you're putting it away at the end of the year. So I know for myself personally, when it's time to put the Christmas tree away, I'm over it. Like I want it down as quickly as possible. And it's really, really easy to just kind of shove things in boxes and bins and put it away in storage. Like when you're putting it away is the time that you need to be most intentional. Hey, Amy, you got questions about this? Hi. Wait, you're muted. Hang on, I'm going to unmute you. Okay.
There's that. Do you keep your wrapping paper, or do you just buy more every year? Because I think that's like my weakness is the wrapping paper.
Okay, I don't keep wrapping paper. I buy it that year and we only buy what we know we're going to use. And it's funny that you brought this up because my son, they're doing wrapping paper sales for school right now. And he was like, who buys all that wrapping paper? What are you going to do with it? So I was like, you're not wrong, buddy. Like, so
Yeah.
one of those things, though, like if that's something that really makes you happy, you love like wrapping things,
No.
then get rid of it. Then get rid of it. Because I have a friend,
Okay.
like my mom always had the most beautiful wrapping paper and the bows, and I love doing it. So I'm like, great, like that's your craft thing. But if that's not you,
Right, right.
yeah. And if we
I
don't,
like doing it in the moment, but then it's like it's overwhelming.
yeah, it's totally overwhelming. It is. And then it sits in the cabinet or wherever you have it. It gets all ripped up and messed up. So if you don't love it, like don't keep it and use it as an opportunity for when holidays come up to go out and buy something really cute in the moment. Like maybe that year your kids are really into Minions and you can get the cutest Minion wrapping paper that you wouldn't have gotten because you had a closet full of stuff that you felt like you had to use.
Right, right. Okay, cool.
Throw away the wrapping paper. And maybe the bows. I like bows, but
I do both. Yeah.
yeah. But I think it's kind of like crafts. Like if that's your thing, go all out. But if it's not your thing, don't feel bad about getting rid of it. Like somebody will use it at Goodwill.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So for like the rest of the stuff though, I mean wrapping paper is part of it because it is one of those things that you can store and then it's gonna get messed up. But for the rest of the stuff, you know, if you are the type who's like, I just love decorating, just make sure that you store it in a way so that when it comes back to the holiday times, you can actually enjoy it and find it and use it and love it. Like that's one of the things that my mom growing up did. But I honestly dreaded the day that she pulled it out, the day after Thanksgiving, because I knew it was going to be a mess. And I knew she was going to be like, oh my gosh, this piece got broken and I can't find this for her little Mousekin Village. I don't know if anybody has that, but she had like Mousekin Village. And it could have been something that was like so fun, but it just was a big giant stress ball for everybody because we couldn't find it. And things were broken. So, holiday stuff. Any other questions about holiday stuff or whatnot? And then we can talk about seasonal stuff because I'm going to talk about that next. The seasonal stuff when it comes to like snow gear and what else is there? Let me check the questions that she asked. I can't remember what exactly she asked about seasonal stuff, but when we're talking about like snow gear, or beach gear, snow gear or beach gear, if it's stuff that your kids are going to grow out of, like I will keep snow gear until the next year just to see if it still fits because my kids are 7 and 9. They don't grow as quickly as they did when they were little, but like we bought them, this is crazy, we bought them snow gear when we got here in 2016 and they wore it for that year and then the next year it still fit, so they wore that snow gear for 2 years and I can post pictures of it because it's kind of dirty and kind of worn out now, but it lasted us 2 years, so because they're bigger. So I will keep stuff until the next season if I can fit it in like a small enough box and it's not a huge deal. It's not like in the way. But if there's too much, and I know this isn't what everybody agrees with, but for like snow gear and stuff, I really recommend like one full suit. It's a lot to manage. It's a really annoying and frustrating to have to keep track of like 4 pairs of gloves. Or even if you have 3 kids like us, like that's 3 pairs of gloves. But if they all had 2 pairs of gloves, that's 6 pairs of gloves. And it's super frustrating to keep track of. So for me and our house, it's so much easier to have 1 pair of gloves per person, 1 hat, 1 pair of snow pants, 1 pair of boots. And they keep it all together. So they put their hat and their gloves inside of their snow pants leg and hang it up with their jacket and their boots. And I can't remember exactly what her question was about that, but Lindsay, when you watch this replay, if you have other questions about snow gear, let me know, but I really recommend just 1 full set. It's a lot easier that way. Traveling clutter. So this is another Lindsay question. Traveling clutter is like those things that just kind of like drift around your house and from place to place to place, and it doesn't really have a home, but it's always there. And this is really, really important. I love that she asked this question, because this is my time to challenge you to really pay attention to what that clutter is. If the only time you're paying attention to it is when you're shifting it from counter to counter or from room to room or whatever, I really want you to ask yourself, why do I have this? Because you're obviously not using it. The only time you use it is when you're shifting it from place to place. So decluttering is not just moving it to a different area of the house. Decluttering is actually getting it out of your house. So if that's what's happening, if it's just traveling, get it out of your house. All right. And it might be stuff that you actually use. So if it's things like, so there's two parts to this. It could be that. It could be something that you are telling yourself you need and you're shifting it around your house and it's just clutter and it needs to get out of your house. Or if it's something like hairbrushes, which is, those can end up clutter because they just shift around your house. Like you're like, I brushed my hair in the bathroom. I'm late for work, so I'm brushing my hair in the kitchen. And then you leave it on the counter and then you bring it to the bedroom and you never actually brought it to the bathroom. If it's that kind of clutter, things that you actually need, you just need to find it a home. So I've mentioned this before to a lot of you. So maybe you've heard it before, maybe you haven't, but everything should have a place and then everything should be in its place, which is why we do our nightly reset, because we're not robots in this house. Sometimes we brush our hair not in the bathroom. Whoa. That happens. That's just the way it is. But at the end of the day, then we go bring the brush back to the bathroom, or we bring the toys back to the bedroom, or the cleaning supplies that when I was cleaning the bathroom, oh no, Haley, we bring them back under the sink. Haley, rip the camera off. So that's part of why we have the nightly reset, is so that everything can get back into its place. And it will probably take you time to find those homes for everything. That's okay. Just little things. Like if you're noticing the same clutter pop up over and over and over and over again, find it a home and make sure that you're putting it in there. And it's going to be these like small repetitive things that you do over time to make your life easier. But as much as possible, find a home for everything and put everything in its home. Or ask yourself, is this clutter? Is this serving me? Or do I need to get this out of my house? Hey. Okay. So if you have questions about that, I started minimizing our cold weather stuff as well. We each have one winter set. Yeah, Shamra, it's so much easier. And we trick ourselves into thinking that we're doing ourselves a favor by, we think we're doing ourselves a favor often by having multiple sets of things just in case. And it, in fact, makes our lives extremely difficult. Okay, so kids crafts. I'm going to just let you guys know how I do kids crafts and how I've done it for a long time, and hopefully inspire you guys to get rid of some of the stuff that you have. But we keep the basics. So we have a lot of stuff. They do crafts pretty much daily, but we don't have a lot of like over the top crazy things. We have markers, crayons, colored pencils, Play-Doh, clay, paint brushes, glue, scissors, and then paper. So it's like the basic essentials for all kinds of arts and crafts. I will buy them. My daughter's into knitting. She says she's into knitting, but she gets extremely frustrated by it. And my mother-in-law, every time she comes to visit, that gets her new knitting stuff, thinking that it's going to be the thing that makes her enjoy knitting, and she never does. So she does have a little drawer in her bedroom full of knitting stuff that she doesn't use because she wants to use it. She wants to be crafty like me, but we just don't have it in us. So those are the basic things that they have. And I will put pictures up of how I store those arts and crafts for you guys so that you can see. Take another note so I can throw some more pictures so you guys can see how it's done, because I use the rectangular shallow, they look like shoebox lids, but they came from a cheese and cracker set that we got for Christmas last year. It's like a little fancy cheese and cracker, so the boxes are really sturdy. I was like, this is perfect for their crafts, because I lined them on the shelf, and there's a box of markers, pencils, scissors and glue, and post the pictures of it. But it makes it easy so that they can see what they want to do. They can be like, I want this paper and I want to use markers, or I want to cut and glue things, or whatever. And it allows them to be extremely creative. Like I said, they use it every day, but it's not overwhelming. So it works for us. And that's how I did it when I was teaching too. So you have a question now, Amy?
I do, yeah. I don't know how to raise my hand when I have the video on, so whatever.
I don't either.
I saw it earlier, but now I don't know how to get there. Anyway, yeah, if you could show us the boxes.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask, oh gosh, I just lost it. Oh, it wasn't actually about kids crafts, but you had mentioned before, I think in another live, that Breezy likes to collect stuff.
Yeah.
And so so on this topic, I remember you saying she has like a special area for her like trash.
Yep, it's
that
trash.
She collects. And so where do you have that, or where did she choose to have that? Because that, I think that's one source of frustration for me with my son, and we haven't been able, like I've tried multiple things and I haven't been able to find something that works yet for his little like pieces of scrap paper and paper clips, and he makes these little people out of like the pencil eraser. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I will post pictures of what that looks like for them too, but that's like a normal kid thing to do. And so I wanted them to be able to do that without it being frustrating. So they can keep it in their room, and they have desks in their room because they're older. So it's meant to be like homework desk, Lego desk. And whatever fits in that drawer, they can keep. So as long as it's not like something that's going to get rotten and stinky, like I don't let them in there, but that's where they keep it. So I'll put pictures in there of that too. And they know that like, if they're leaving it out on the kitchen counter or on the couch or whatever, I'll be like, you got to go bring this up into your room, or I'm going to throw it away. Because it's,
yeah, that's usually what I end up doing too. Like, he'll leave it on the island, and so I'll like give him one warning, like, dude, your little eraser guy's going in the trash if he doesn't make it back up to your room.
Yeah, and maybe you could get him like a little box, like if he doesn't have a desk with drawers, which they have like actual office desks, because when my husband moved offices, they didn't need those desks anymore. So I know that's not the norm for most people, but you could get him like Michael's or Hobby Lobby has those little like cardboard boxes that look cool, and then it can be like his little collection box, because kids really do thrive on being able to do that. Part of our nightly reset is like doing those things that they leave on the island or on the couch, and that's part of the nightly reset. Is like, all right, bring all this stuff up to your room. And then they do. But we also do, and I'll talk about this at the end because there are questions. She's so tired. I'm gonna pause this real quick because I changed my shirt so I can put her to sleep. So the next part of that is, when we do like the nightly reset, I can jump right into this next part where somebody was asking like what maintenance mode actually looks like. The hair's all crazy now. It looks like a lot of things. It looks like doing a nightly reset where I'm like, hey guys, bring all your stuff back up into your room, into your box or into your drawer. It looks like me, ow, bit me. It looks like me going through ow, she keeps biting me and she's got teeth. Ow. Stop it. Okay. Sorry guys. Me going through the house with a trash bag and checking things like bathroom drawers for, soap bottles that are empty, or going under the sink and pulling out any like trash from like the dishwasher tabs, or going through and getting rid of the McDonald's toys that haven't been touched in 2 weeks, or like school papers. That's another thing that somebody had asked about that I'll talk about in the big group later, is like going through the kids' school folders and throwing away all of those paper trashes once a week. So maintenance mode looks like little things that I do daily, little things that I do weekly. And then I do bigger type things as needed, or like during seasons when, like when Christmas is coming up, I know we're going to do a toy purge, you know, like the beginning of November or December or the end of November, to get ready for Christmas. I'll do bigger things like that. I'm going to talk about husbands in a minute too, but also my husband likes to buy things. And so when he goes on a shopping spree, like he did this weekend, I'll also go through and just to kind of like fill the balance and make sure that everything that he brings in fits and has a place. I will get rid of other things so that we can bring in new things and it all still fits. Like he went out and bought, I don't know why he did this, but he was being helpful. He was being helpful. He went out and bought a bunch of baby gates, and they don't fit. And that's why I'm always like, we should measure things before we buy stuff. But he was being helpful, so it's not a big deal. But as things come in, like it's maintenance mode is a continual thing. All right, it doesn't end because you're always bringing stuff into your home, whether it's a box of diapers, groceries, toys, whatever it is that your husband buys and brings in. Things are always coming in, so you kind of always have to be intentionally letting things go. And it doesn't need to be like a big deal where you're like, oh my gosh, you bought 4 things, I got to get rid of 4 things. It's not that. It's like, okay, now we have 4 baby gates that we can't use and need to figure out where we're going to put them. So I went out to the garage and got rid of there's a bunch of random stuff, like some hiking boots in an old box that didn't fit and we never returned. A car seat base. We have 3 car seat bases and 1 car seat. So I got rid of 2 car seat bases. And eventually, my point is that I made room for the new stuff that we needed to store. So it's a continual thing. And I know a lot of you guys are not to the point where I'm at, and I want you to be patient with yourself. So we're going to talk about this too when I get to the actual points, but be patient with yourself. This takes time. All right. You've spent likely your entire adult life bringing things into your home and you've never let things go. So it's not going to happen in a day or a week or a month or maybe even 2 months. And some of you guys, Danielle, if you listen to the replay, and some others have been doing this for a while, since about February or March. So you're about 6 months in, and I can kind of feel like some tension as in like, I have been doing this intentionally for 6 months. And I feel like you're kind of to that point where you're like, you're making progress, but you're at kind of a lull. You're kind of at a plateau, and plateaus are fine because you break through them. Just know that sticking with it in these small and consistent ways is what makes it sustainable and makes it so that you can do a nightly reset every night and feel great about it. And you can do a little bit of a bigger weekly reset where you're going through your house and just picking up loose ends and little things that if you didn't pay attention to them, over the course of a few months would be some pretty serious clutter. All right. And just have that long-term mindset. Be in it to win it. We have this course that's here for you forever when you need it. We have the big group, which I love because it's always kind of there in your mind. Like if you need something, or when inspiration strikes, or if you need some motivation, you can jump into that big group and get it and find it, especially if you're feeling like you're in a lull or you're in a plateau. I'm going to sneeze. Okay. So that was a little bit on kids class. This has been Kaylee's mood for like the last 3 days. I don't know if she's going through one of those things like a leap or whatever, but oh my gosh, she's grumpy. Okay, so let's talk about balancing self-care with your sleep. And Lindsay asked this question. She has a little tiny baby who is about the same age as Kaylee. And kind of like I said with the plateau of like with the clutter, like feeling like I've been doing this for so long. Like, why haven't I arrived yet? Like the ages of our babies, like 10 and a half, 11 months old, like I feel like we're in that place now where like the novelty and the excitement and the patience of having a newborn has worn off, but they're not quite toddlers yet. And so they're not like sleeping through the night. We're kind of in that really uncomfortable stage of like, oh my gosh, get some sleep. I've been doing this for a year. I need a break. And so really my advice to you for balancing self-care with sleep is to sleep as much as you can, which is the most annoying thing to hear ever. But it's a really, really short season, guys. And she's my third baby. I did get together with James when my stepson was really young too. And it goes so quickly that this time with Kaylee, I don't want to try and be rushing myself through it. I'm not like hoping and praying and wishing that this season will be over so I can get back to life. I'm just enjoying it. Even in these moments where she's like crying and fussing, which I'm going to grab her real quick and try and get her to go back to sleep, which she probably won't. Come here. I'm here. But just know that this is a really, really short season. And I don't want you to feel like you're just trying to rush through it and get to the point where you can sleep normally again and balance everything. It is a type of survival mode, but it's the type of survival mode that is okay. Okay, it's like a positive survival mode. It's not like survival mode that we talk about where you're like drowning and suffocating all the time. It's survival mode in that you have a little tiny baby who really needs you for everything. So sleep when you can. Do these little types of self-care. I'm not going to go too much into it because it's in the video. And then there's that other video with Melissa Killeley with all kinds of really simple self-care practices you can do, like listening to a YouTube video, getting out into nature, turning on a YouTube yoga video or meditation, or using some essential oils, or drinking hot coffee before the kids wake up, or asking your husband to handle the kids in the morning on a Saturday or a Sunday so that you can drink some hot coffee alone outside. All of these little ways that you can incorporate it. But when you have a little baby, this season is so short and there's really nothing like it in the world. You can't get it back. So just view it as like a positive survival mode. And be easy on yourself. Be easy on yourself. Don't think that you need to be like this superwoman who's like decluttering her whole entire home and getting a grip on her whole entire life while she has a baby, because they change so fast. You know, everything changes so fast. Like they're sleeping fine and this works one day and then the next day they've outgrown it and it doesn't work anymore. First year, I mean, all bets are off. So that's self-care with a baby. How to get the kids involved. So somebody was saying, you know, she's, I think it was Michelle. It was Michelle. She's got a 4 and a 6-year-old and she's trying to get them involved and she wants a little bit more help. But this is the truth of it. You are changing the lifestyle that they have been used to, okay? So they haven't been used to helping out. They haven't been used to having less toys or less things or whatever it is that you're implementing that's changing. Like it is changing. The dynamics of your home are changing. And that's a lot to handle for kids. Like and this is the other thing, they aren't you. So you have this vision in your mind of what you want to happen and how you want it to be. They don't know that. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know how to do it. And so they're only going to be as good at this as you are. So, and that's a really big part of the reason that I love this course. Oh, good. Yay. Okay. Good, Shamra. I know you have a little baby too, who's I think probably like 5 months by now. I love this course, and I designed it specifically to focus on you and your role and what you can do. Because I think a lot of times we like want to 5 months today, yay, happy birthday. We want them to just do these things for us. We want them to make it easier for us. We want them to help us, but they've never lived like this. Okay, they've never had a chore chart, or they've never had a nightly reset. They've never had somebody holding them accountable to taking care of their stuff. And that's what I wanted this course to be, focusing on you and your role and what you can teach them, instead of it being like a book or a course like how to manage your kids, you know, how to manage your husband. That's not what it is. It's how to empower yourself and how to be a really strong leader in your home, which is exactly what your kids need. They need you to teach them what to do. They need you to remind them every day to pick their stuff up off the floor and put it where it goes, okay? Because it's so much more than just having a clean house, okay? It's not teaching them to have a clean room or how to help with the chore chart. It's teaching them how to take care of their life and their things and respect their stuff, and how to be a part of a family, which is a smaller version of being a part of a community and a society and going out into the real world and being a productive member of society. So when it comes to getting your kids on board and getting your kids, getting your kids involved, this is your chance to be a leader. Okay, they need you to be their leader. They need you to show them how to do things. And this is something that was really, really pushed on me as a Montessori teacher. My role as a teacher was not to do things for them. My role as a teacher was to teach them how to do it for themselves. So I would give them the materials and the lessons, and then they would go do it for themselves. And that's basically what you got to do in your house too. Set their rooms up so that it's easy to clean, which does mean at some point you're going to have to downsize the amount of stuff that they have. It doesn't need to be done in a mean or a punishing way. It can be done kindly and with positive intention, and be like, hey, like, you know how mom's always like frustrated because the house is always a mess and you never clean up your stuff? Like, this is going to help. So let's do it together and focus on, this is where I need to be. Yay. I'm glad you're here, Sincere. But it's not about the kids. It's not your kids' fault that they don't keep their room clean. It's not your kids' fault that they don't pick up after themselves. It's not your kids' fault that they are throwing toys around instead of playing with them like they need to. It's 6 totes of toys I have to go through. Okay, cool. So let's talk about toys then. When you're decluttering them, go through the easy stuff first. The broken stuff, the missing pieces, the duplicates, the things that they just don't play with. There's a lot of toys that people have that are one and done, is what I call them. And that basically means that that toy is the most exciting when it's sitting on a shelf at Target in a box and they want to buy it. And then they bring it home and they never use it. Like a Hatchimal. Not like the little Hatchimals, like my kids have Shopkins and Hatchimals, like the big Hatchimal that's like a Furby. Okay, that's like a one and done toy. It's really expensive. Everybody wants one. And then they bring it home and they play with it for a day and it's forgotten forever. Okay, they've been sitting in their closet for like 2 years. They played it on the first 3 days and that's it. But at some point, you're gonna have to downsize it for them. You're gonna have to be their leader and you're gonna have to lead by example, which means that at night when you're doing the nightly reset, it's not like you just bossing them around and being like, okay, clean this up, take it back to your room. It's like you doing your stuff too. It's you doing the dishes and putting it away and leading by example. It's you. I take my socks off. I'm the worst about it. I take my socks off and leave them in wherever I take them off, like on the kitchen floor, on the couch. But at night, I bring my socks back up to the laundry basket, okay? Leading by example. Your kids, they just need a leader. And they're only going to be as good at this as you are. So just keep in mind, like you're making really big changes, okay? It's different for them. Okay, it's different. They've never had this kind of accountability. They've never had mom or dad or mom and dad, hopefully eventually, being like, hey, at the end of the day, you got to put your stuff away. Or when you're done playing with this toy, I expect you to take care of it and put it back where it goes, which is why we were talking about at the beginning, having a place for everything and everything in its place. Sometimes your kids aren't cleaning up because they just don't know where to put it. They're like, okay, pick up my toys and put them where? Like I don't have, it's not easy to see where it goes. I was just talking to my husband last night about the nightly reset. Yeah, it's game changer. Hey, Lindsay. I just answered your questions, Lindsay, that you asked. I can go over them again, or you can watch the replay. Let me know what you want. But it's a game changer, the nightly reset. It's just kind of like, it's part of maintenance mode. Okay, the nightly reset is part of maintenance mode. It's getting everything back in its place. And oh, Kaylee. It's like the accessories in terms of babies and deciding what is a good number, I guess. Yeah, so that's I did that with my friend Savannah. I work with her locally in person, and we did that too, where she just had so much that the thing about having so much is that it's really overstimulating for kids. If there's too much, they don't know how to play with it. And that's something that I learned when I was doing Montessori, is that less is really more, because otherwise they just throw it around. And so the example that I like to give of that is the play kitchen. So I always thought that to have a good play kitchen, you had to have like all the food, like all different kinds of food, like 4, 5, 6 or 7 plates and for them to use at the table, and all of the cooking utensils and accessories and all of the different food sets. Like, I thought that's what made it fun. And every time the kids would go in it, they would dump everything out. They would throw it on the floor. They would cook with some of it. But for the most part, it was just chaos. She's so loud right now. My husband always says they have too much choice, which I agree. I think they are overwhelmed. Yeah. And so when they get overwhelmed like that, they just dump it out. They throw it around. They don't know how to play with it. And so one of my best directors that I worked with, she came in and was like, I can help you with this if you want me to help you. And so what she did was put out one tiny little basket of food, one pan, one stirring spoon, and then 2 plates. And she was like, go see what happens with this. And I was like, they're not going to play with it because there's nothing to play with in there. And they did. They played with it peacefully and quietly in the way that it was supposed to be played with, like cooking on the stove and making food for their friends. Like, it worked. And I was like, that is amazing. So when they do have too much, it's true. They get overwhelmed. They just throw it all around. And so what we did at Savannah's house with the dolls, because she had a lot, we pulled out the favorite dolls. We matched the outfits to the dolls that fit, because that's another thing, is that you have different size dolls and different size clothes, and they're all thrown in together, and it's really overwhelming. Yeah, I wish Kaylee would just go to sleep. She's tired. She's been awake since like 6. But we got she has two daughters. So they each got 2 dolls, and they picked the outfits that fit the dolls, and then they had a backup outfit for that doll. So, and then we put it in a little shallow fabric bin, and those are the ones that they played with. And they loved it because they could change the clothes. They had some variety, but it wasn't overwhelming to where it was just like an explosion of clothes all over the room. And so Savannah does a rotation now of those dolls. I don't know if she's still doing it, but that's how we set it up when I left, so that she could do a rotation. Like, as she noticed that her kids were getting bored with it, or as she noticed that, like, if her kids asked for different clothes, then they could pull out the box of doll clothes, find outfits that fit, and then put it in the bin, and that's what they would play with for a while. So it's not that you have to get rid of it all, but having it all out at once is really overwhelming for them. So that was a little bit about toys. Any questions about that? I see. Okay. I will see any questions about it, but like I said, just put it in the chat, and we will keep talking about it, getting the kids involved. Just see this as your chance to be a leader, really, really a leader. Working from home tips. So I don't know if anybody works from home other than Lindsay and I. Shamra is going to be working from home one day. I know it. But I use time blocking. So the time blocking tutorial is in the course, but that's really the only way I can do it. Otherwise, I get pulled in a million different directions, and it's extra hard when you're working from home because you're at home. So you should be focusing on so many things, right? You should be focusing on dishes, laundry, the kids, The Bailey, come here. Come here. Come here. Wait, do you want to do this? So I time block. So when from like 9:30, oh, Sincere works from home too. Yeah. I knew that too. I knew that. Time block. So I know that from 9:30 to 12 is my work block time. Okay. Like we're doing right now, this is my time to do all of the work tasks that I do. And then I have lunch with Kaylee and get her done for a nap. And then I have another like hour and a half to 2 hours in the afternoon that I work. Otherwise, if I don't block out those times to focus on my work, it doesn't get done. And then the house stuff doesn't get done because I'm like doing all the things all the time. So time blocking is how I do it. And even if it's not convenient, even if the baby's acting up, even if the kids are like, oh my gosh, Mom, just play a game with me. I'm focusing as much as I can on work. In the summer, it was especially hard because my big kids were home and they're like, can we play a game? Can we do this? Can we blah, blah, blah. And so I would have an early morning time block before they woke up where I would work on all of this stuff. So time block it out, set it aside as much as you can, focus on your work during those hours so that when your kids come home from school or your husband's home at night, you can focus on your family, you can focus on your nightly reset, you can focus on all of these other things. And it's not always going to be perfect. If you can't afford it, which this is my next goal, I want to make it so that I can have a time block from 9:30 to 12:30 or 1 o'clock and hire a mother's helper to come help me out so that I can do calls like this without having to pause because the baby's freaking out, right? And she's almost a year old. So I feel like I can finally get that kind of help. I have 2 playpens when I borrowed for purging instead of burying furniture. It's funny, Shimmer. A purge pen. Should make that a thing. A purge pen. But long story short, time blocking. Maybe you can do it in the mornings, maybe you can do it in the afternoons, or maybe you got to do it. I've had friends, I'm in a business course right now, and a lot of the moms in there work, and so their time block, their kids are older, they don't have babies, it's like 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. before the kids get up. Okay? Maybe one day when Kaylee's older, that will be my time block. But for right now, no way am I getting up at 4 a.m. when she's up all hours of the night. Anyway, that's how it works for me. Any questions about that? Okay, the purge pen, that's funny. Okay, laundry routines. Okay, the first step of your laundry routine is to, Kaylee's eating trash, is to declutter your laundry, okay? I do a load a day, about, give or take. For the most part, I start a little laundry in the morning, and by the end of the day, at some point, I have dried it, put it away. Sometimes it's 2 loads a day. Sometimes I fall behind because I am doing a lot more now with work, and sometimes I'll do like 2 or 3 loads over the weekend. But as far as laundry routines, my pens, as far as like laundry routines, a little bit, I personally like a little bit every day instead of like waiting a whole entire weekend to do it. Now, I used to do it all on the weekends when I was working full-time outside of the home. I would not worry about laundry until Saturday or Sunday, and then I would do it all at once. But the key to laundry routines is this. Declutter your laundry first, okay? The clothes in our closets, we wear all of them, okay? So like my kids don't have a bunch of extras or just in case, or they don't have like outside clothes versus inside clothes. They just have clothes and it fits in their closets and it fits in their laundry baskets, okay? Like I'm pretty sure they might need a little bit of a laundry basket, a bigger laundry basket, but all of their clothes, if they were dirty, would fit into a laundry basket, the big laundry basket. So you got to declutter the laundry first, okay? You got to get a grip on that. Then, second key to a laundry routine and getting out of the vicious cycle of having laundry that sits in the washer too long and gets mildewy, or sits in the dryer and gets wrinkled, or sits in a pile on the couch, is to not start a load until you're finished with the first one. So this is just like a little mental trick I play on myself, but I won't put a load in the washer until what's in the dryer has been put away, because that's how you get backed up. Okay, you get like a laundry traffic jam. Hang on a second. Maybe I can wrap her up in a blanket like a little baby again. You want to get wrapped up in a little blanket? Yeah. And I know laundry is like one of the most overwhelming things for people, especially if you have too much. I'm going to keep talking about Savannah just because I do work with her in person, and I did help her with those really overwhelming things, the laundry and the toys. And she was like, I don't even know where to start. Like, I just have so much laundry everywhere. Like, where do I start? Do I wash it all first? Do I wait until I washed it all before I go through it? And there's two ways that you can do it, okay? You can do it all at once, and you probably only have one washer. Sincere, yeah. You probably only have one washer at your house. So realistically, if you wait until all of your laundry is done to declutter it, you're never going to do it, okay? It's just not going to happen. There's too much. You're never going to get caught up. You're never going to get to that point. So this is what I told Savannah we could do. We could pack up all of her laundry in our cars and go to the laundromat and spend whatever it costs, probably like $40 to use the laundromat and wash it all. And then as it comes out of the dryer, put it in a keep or don't keep pile, and take everything that's clean that she's not keeping to the donation center, and everything that's clean that she's keeping to her house, and just start that way. Hey, come here. She didn't want to do that, so that was fine. The other option was doing one load at a time. So you're going to have to commit to this. You're going to have to be like, for 1 week, I'm going to be like a laundry machine. And I tell you guys, I've told you guys this before in other lives, start on one area and finish it before you move on to the next. So maybe that's going to be laundry, and you are not going to focus on anything else but laundry for that week. So you're going to wash the load, you're going to put it in the dryer, you're going to pull it out, and you're going to say, is this a keep or don't keep? Keep or don't keep? And if it's don't keep, you put it in a bag and you put it in your car and you take it away, okay? If it's a keep, you hang it up and you put it in the closet so that people can actually be wearing it instead of letting it sit in a laundry pile. I just got rid of 1 million things for the kiddos. Yay for growth spurts. Yeah. So those are kind of the two ways that you can do it. Do it all at once, one big thing, head over to the laundromat, no shame in that, or one load at a time, but make sure that you can commit to doing that for like a week or two so that you can actually get it fully decluttered, okay? Because otherwise you're going to stay in that vicious cycle that Savannah was in, and a lot of other people are in. She's not unique in that situation, but you're going to stay in that vicious cycle of like, oh my gosh, I can't catch up. And then you end up doing nothing. And then you end up going out and buying more clothes because it's easier to buy new clothes than wash what you have, okay? Like some people and a lot of people have done that. And I've done it. I'm like, I don't have clean clothes back in Alaska. So I would be like, I'm just going to run to the store real quick and get something that I can wear tomorrow. No big deal. Or get a pack of socks because I don't have any socks or underwear. Okay? That's crazy. And then you end up adding more and more and more to your laundry piles. Those are the two ways. Pick which one you want to do and then do it. And just, if it were me, I would do the laundromat thing because I would just want it done in a day. I would be like, let me wash all of this. Let me make a decision right here, right now, and take the stuff away. Okay, so that's laundry. Any questions about laundry? Just put it in the comments. Like I said, this isn't a whole lot about like specifics of like what to keep and how many things to have. I want to make this so that it's like, here's what you do. Now go do it. Okay. And if we need to schedule another call for tomorrow or Wednesday, or tomorrow and Wednesday, let's do that. Okay. I'm doing a mix, washing and drying like a madman at home and filling the playpen unless it's obvious. Get rid of right off the bat. Yeah. And Shamra, right off the bat is key. Like, don't let it creep back into your house. Don't wait too long. Like, you just have to make a decision and like get it gone. like simplified decluttering. Like decluttering is really easy. It's just getting rid of the stuff that you don't need. So don't overcomplicate it, and don't give yourself time to think about all of the reasons that you could possibly maybe need it. Sincere, hello. So Sincere, I don't know if you heard it, but just a quick tip, just make a decision. So whatever you decide, just make it quick. Don't give yourself too much time to think. Because what will happen is that you end up self-sabotaging and coming up with all of these reasons that you need everything. Haley. And in the big group, I'm going to go, actually, today is dedicated to clothes. So I know this is a long call, but I'll be talking about it again in the big group about clothes specifically, how to get rid of it, what to keep, what's not to keep, and that kind of thing. So vehicles. So our car is we kind of do like a reset on the car every day, or for the most part every day. After school, when I bring the kids home, everything comes inside of the car, from the car, okay? They don't leave anything in it. So come here. Do you want to do this? Come on. She's like, just take me to my bed, Mom, and put me to sleep. Ooh, yeah, do this. You're so good at it. Do that. You're so good at that. Whack it. Every time we come in from the car, whether we're at sports or after school, everybody brings their stuff inside. I bring the diaper bag inside. The kids bring their backpacks. They bring their sports snacks. They bring their water bottles. Everything comes inside. So maybe you have to go do a really deep clean of your car so that you can get to that point, but it's worth it. And then every single time you come inside, everybody brings everything inside. Okay, myself included. The trash, backpacks, bags, diaper bags, sports stuff, whatever it is at the time. And then I don't let the kids eat in the car anymore, which I know is like breaking a serious mom rule, but I don't let my kids eat in the car. And maybe you've read the blog about it, where in Alaska, I let my kids bring Jell-O jigglers into, I say that every time I clean it out. Yeah, I actually stuck with it though, because I had this Jell-O jiggler story. My kids do sneak in sometimes though too, and I'll talk about that. But the Jell-O jiggler, I had a van with a sliding door, and it froze to the inside of my door. And it was so gross. It was so gross. It was there for like 4 months. This Jell-O jiggler just stuck to the door. Okay, and it's kind of freaky that it lasted that long. I guess in cold cars in Alaska, it's not like it was like basically in a fridge. That happened, and then when we moved to Florida, we left a sippy cup of milk in the car, and I was from Alaska where everything was cold. Like if you forgot food in the car, it was fine. It was basically leaving it in the fridge. That's not the case in Florida. We left old milk in a sippy cup in a hot car, and it was disgusting. And from that moment on, I did not let them bring food in the car. So what that means is I don't, like, if they're like, can we bring a snack for the car? I say no. You cannot bring a snack on the car. You can eat a snack now, or you can bring it and you can eat it when we get there, depending on where we're going. Like if we're going to the sports fields, like you can bring it in the car, and when we get there, you can eat it. But that's not to say that they don't still sometimes sneak it. Like after school, they have their lunch boxes. Maybe they'll eat stuff in there. I know because I see the food in my car. Okay, I see the crumbs on the seat. But for the most part, like they know the rule is you eat before we leave, or you eat it when we get there. I have an emergency bag with extra outfits, an extra carrier, extra diapers, and we have a bag of van toys, bottle toys, or doubles or fears, but they don't bring toys from home in the car. Yeah, so I have a little, I got a new car about a month ago. I got the Dodge Journey, and it has these little bins in the bottom of the floorboards. So I put the stuff there. Yay! You're so good at that. Yay! But yeah, it has diapers, wipes, water, snacks that my kids don't know about, first aid kit. But I don't let the kids bring toys in the car either, because what happens is that they forget them in there, they throw them around, they fight over them. And my friend, My friend said something a while ago in the group. She was like, when I was a kid, I never died from boredom in the car. And that's kind of my thoughts on it too. That's kind of my thoughts on it too, is like a little car rides are our time to talk to each other. The toys are the worst. Car rides are our time to talk to each other about our days, what happened at school, where we're going, how did the games go. They are toy and food smugglers. Mine are too, and they still, I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, and they still will be like, bring stuff in. You okay? And I think that's fine. It doesn't need to be like a super strict, like, no toys in the car. But for the most part, they know, like, we don't bring toys in the car. They do still sneak it in sometimes, especially my daughter. She likes to stuff animals. But she brings it in. So when we get home, I'm like, you better bring your toys in. And my son is always the one to tattle on her. Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, I can't remember what I was saying. Ow. Okay. Any other questions about cars? Oh, I mean, our time in the car is to like recap the days, like, and talk about what they're excited to go do at school, because most of our driving is like to and from school and to and from sports, and then to and from the grocery store. Just that's our life. That's the majority of our driving is that. So we'll like play games like the ABC game or I Spy or whatever, or they just talk with each other. Like, it's kind of a lost art, is like the art of conversation and talking with each other. And I feel like too many toys in the house and too many toys in the car like take away from that, so they can just be like my friend said, like, nobody ever died from being bored to death. But okay, so why? Okay, so Lindsay, this was another question that you had asked about, like a family binder. 2 and 4, I feel like that would be great to sing and do stuff in the car. Yeah. Oh, that's another thing, is like we listen to music. Like that's kind of our chance sometimes too to like find weird songs on YouTube. Like I'll give my son my phone. First of all, then I'm not doing distracted driving, but then they like looking up like weird songs on YouTube. Or we like Matt and Kim, so we'll listen to lots of Matt and Kim, or sometimes I will put on like Abraham Hicks. But yeah, it's a really good time. It's the car is a really good time to just connect with your kids, and kind of disconnect from technology and all of the stimulation of life. Yes. Okay. So Lindsay had asked about a family binder. I don't have one, and this is why. I would spend all of my time and energy trying to create a family binder that I wouldn't actually get anything done. And then it would sit there and I wouldn't use it. Like, I've tried it before in the past. Like, I've tried it, having like a teacher binder. I've tried doing it at home, and it's just not my personality. I'm more of like a big picture person, like big picture, like not so in the details and not so obsessed over the details, which I feel like the family binder ends up being for me. So that's not to say that they don't work, and not to say that they're not a good idea. Ow, God, Kaylee, that hurts. Ow. I just don't have one for you guys. The closest thing that I have to it is like the Trello board, the Trello lists, and Google Calendar tutorial that I put for you guys in the course. That's the closest thing that I have to a family binder. It keeps track of everything that I need to keep track of, as far as like my to-do lists and kids' appointments and sports games and practices and times and dentist appointments and chiropractor appointments and all these things. I keep track of it in Google Calendar or on the Trello list. So it's kind of, I guess it's kind of a version of it, but it's not, me getting so caught up in the details of trying to make this system or this book that works that I don't know how to make work. So I don't have one, but I do have that, which is in the course and the training, which could be really, really helpful for you. Okay, so maintenance mode and what it actually looks like. Danielle asked this question. I think she's just kind of like I said, and I could be misreading it, but I feel like some of the moms who have been decluttering for a while are kind of in this like plateau, like they've done so much, but they haven't like mastered the details of it. And it's going to take time. It's a continual, ever going thing. Kaylee's going to come up around the cords. But maintenance mode for me mostly looks like a daily, nightly reset, the weekly reset where I go through the house and like just take out the trashes and go through like the little things like the cabinets and the cupboards and the pantry and the fridge and the freezer and getting rid of like loose ends, going through the garage about once a month and just kind of like, why do we have this? We're not using it, getting rid of those things. And then I do things as needed. So she's not going to sleep. She's so tired. I do things as needed. So like when I notice that the kids' rooms are getting impossible to clean and keep clean, then we'll do a purge in their room or in the kitchen. Like I'm going to go do one in my kitchen today because I'll post pictures of it. But we have like a food processor that's missing a piece that we were going to order like 2 years ago and we never did. A coffee pot. I have 2 coffee pots that I didn't even realize that we had that came from my husband's office that have been sitting under the cabinet. So I'm going to actually go through a kitchen and do a little routine purge there because I want to. And I open up the cabinets and I'm like, what even is this stuff? Like if I open up a cabinet, I'm like, what is this? Then that's my sign that I need to do a purge. Or like my husband, when he goes out and buys a bunch of stuff, like I said, when he buys stuff, I got to find places to put it. And so I will do a purge to clear space so that we have a place to keep all these gates that he bought. So that's kind of what maintenance modes look like. It's little daily things that we do. It's things that I do a little bit more routine, daily, weekly, monthly, and then just as needed. Or being smart about it, like being mindful of like holidays, like right before a holiday, right before birthdays, that kind of thing. That's what it actually looks like. I don't think it's something that you should just like wait and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed by the clutter again, time to purge. It should be little things that you're doing daily, weekly, monthly. You can go into the tutorial, the Google and the Trello tutorial, and it teaches you actually how to add in those little things so that you know what to do weekly and you know what to do monthly and seasonally, so that you're kind of doing it on autopilot. Those the Google and the Trello set it up for you so that it's a little bit more rigid and you're getting reminders and you're like, okay, first week of every month I'm doing this, second week I'm doing this, and it just reminds you and gets you into that habit to where it's second nature, which is where I'm at now. For the most part, all those things that I showed you in the tutorial are second nature to me because I've done them so much, and my maintenance mode is just kind of like on autopilot now. So you can get to that point. You just have to stick with it, and you got to have that long-term mindset. All right. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was husbands who are not on board. So Danielle asked about this, and then I got an email from Jean about this as well. And I'm going to pull up her email real quick because it sounded a lot like what Danielle had talked about. So she says, my husband's slowly been getting on board with me and decluttering. However, he still has mountains of stuff. He's falling for every excuse out there, trying to organize it. Everything's sentimental, just in case, not even seeing it anymore. It was expensive. And she's just asking for any tips on how to gently point out that someday means never, or that his socks that came from kindergarten aren't truly sentimental, or that the money is already gone. I can be very direct, and it comes across as bitchy. Sorry, guys. I don't mind saying it. I hope it's not. And I know that isn't the correct approach here. Also, guys, I like to swear a lot, so I don't usually on lives, but sometimes I just love to let it fly. She's just wanting to know what the correct approach is here. So he also shops. He brings in new stuff all the time, but it's hard for me to stop him because he's grown, and I can't really tell him what to do. So I wanted to talk about that real quick because I think everybody can relate to it, myself included. Danielle especially when you are on a mission to declutter your home and your husband is not. So how do you deal with that? Probably a frustrating answer, but you just do your own thing. You focus on what you can focus, and you keep decluttering the things that you can declutter. And when he's not being receptive, when he's not going along with it, when he's being very resistant, I am a big fan. I worked in a bar. I swear a lot. Yes. Okay. Me too. Oh, I didn't work in a bar, but sometimes I do. So one of the biggest things that I really like when it comes to this is coming from a place of curiosity with him. So asking him, why are you keeping this stuff? What does this represent to you? What is so special about this to you that you're wanting to keep it in our house, taking up our space that we could be using for something else? Okay. And sometimes it's hard to say that in a nice way, but I know that you can do it. But one of two things is going to happen when you ask him that. He's either going to let you know, well, I'm keeping this because of blank, blank, and blank. And you're going to get a little bit of insight into why he's keeping it, or he is going to come to the realization that he doesn't really need it. Okay. And that's the first approach, coming from a place of curiosity. When he says things like, my socks from kindergarten are so sentimental, I'll be like, how? Like, what does this represent to you? How does it make you feel better to keep these little things in our house when you don't ever look at them, and then maybe you could get to the point where you're like, okay, so if this is really that special to you, maybe we, instead of keeping it stored away and hidden away in a box, we could figure out a way to display it. And then if he's like, well, I don't want to display my socks from kindergarten, they're not that special, then maybe he'll realize he can let them go. So come from a place of curiosity. But then I also, to take it a little bit further, I think creating a vision of your home and what you want it to be helps too. So I don't know if I put the creating a vision for your clutter-free home in this course, but I will email it all out to you guys. Because sometimes, creating a vision, email. Sometimes they just don't know what they want their house to be like, and they don't know your vision. They don't know why you want to do this. They don't know why you're wanting to throw away all of your guys' stuff. They don't get it. So I think sometimes having conversations about the vision that you have for your home helps get them on board and helps them see how all of this clutter that they're holding on to doesn't fit into that vision. And then it's something that you guys can do together. So maybe the vision that you have for your clutter-free home is to be able to have a garage where you can work out in, like us, like we have a gym in our garage basically. But if your garage is full of clutter and tools that nobody ever uses, or boxes from your childhood memories that you don't even know what's in there, then you can't do that type of thing. Or maybe you want a bedroom that, you want to go all out. You want it to be, and this is my goal. I want a bedroom that, I don't always want my house to look from Pinterest, but I do want like this really, really amazingly decorated, beautiful bedroom for him and I to be in, because it's like our space. And we can't do that if he is, bringing in all of these electronics cords and letting them sit around the bedroom. Like, that doesn't fit into the vision that we have for having this really sacred space for him and I. Maybe whatever your vision for your home is, talk to him about that and let him kind of piece it together that, hey, the vision that you have for your home, it's not this just like, superficial thing that you want. You want this to be the space for your family to be in, for your family to spend time in, for you guys to connect with each other. All of these things, it's not just a superficial thing, and the clutter does not align with that bigger vision that you have for it. So come from a place of curiosity, work on creating and communicating your vision for that with him, and then, get on board with him. Like my husband and I don't always agree. He wanted our bedroom to be the workout room. And I strongly resisted that. And I even let him try it for a little bit, and it didn't end up working out, but I let him try. and it didn't work out. So now it's in the garage. Okay. So it's got to be like a team effort. It's got to be you two creating this atmosphere in your home intentionally and making it what you want. Okay. And that, I think, can help him realize that these shelves full of tools that you never use don't fit in here. Okay. Or whatever it is. So the next thing, because I know you, Jean had mentioned it, and so did Danielle, husbands who keep buying stuff. So like Jean said, like, they're grown adults. Like, we are not their mothers. We cannot be like, you don't get to buy anything anymore, because that's just not how marriage works. Okay. However, you can have conversations about what you actually want to be doing with your money. So, and it's conversations that you should be having. You know, just like you can have the conversation about what you want the atmosphere of your home to be and feel like, you can have these conversations about where you want your money to be spending. Okay. So I know that it's really, really easy to go out and buy something if you're not putting yourself, you know, on a mindful budget or whatever it is. You know, some people don't like the word budget, but you can say, hey, I know that you go out and you buy, like, you spend $60 to $100 on baby gates that we didn't need. Like, that's money that we could have put somewhere else. You know, maybe we could pay off some debt, or maybe we could put it towards a vacation, or maybe we could put it into savings for the kids, or maybe we could have gone on a date night. Like, you can bring up the conversation of like, hey, I'd like to be a little bit more mindful and intentional about where we're directing our money and what we want to do with it, instead of just buying all this stuff that we don't even really need or want or use. Like, can we get a little bit more intentional with that? So I don't really have a lot of specific advice for you guys about that, but it is something that my husband and I talk about, like, where are we directing our money? Where are we sending it to? And it just makes the conversations about money a little bit easier too, because instead of like feeling like a victim to your money situation, or feeling like you never have enough, or feeling like you can't buy the things that you want or have the things that you want, you know, you're working intentionally to have the things that you want. And instead of, you know, just having a house full of stuff that you don't want, you know what I mean? And then you can kind of get a grip on the incoming things. So that is something, if you're in the big course that I have, the Clutter-Free Motherhood one, I do challenge you guys, when you are decluttering, to not buy anything. Don't buy anything until you're done decluttering, other than essentials. So, you know, diapers, wipes, food. If your kids outgrow their clothes, get them some new clothes. But for the most part, don't buy anything. Don't bring anything else in until you've purged enough to feel good about it. Like, so those were all of the questions that I had in the group. And I do have a 12 o'clock live scheduled in the group. We're going to talk more specifically about clothes and paper clutter. But I'm going to go put this baby to sleep before I get on that 12 o'clock live, because I don't think we'll make it through that 12 o'clock live if she doesn't take a nap. So if you guys have any more questions, post them up in the group. Send me a message. Send me an email. If you want to schedule another call like this for tomorrow or Wednesday with any other additional, I'll tag you in the paper clutter one. If you guys have any additional questions, like I said, get them to me, message, email, in the group, whatever. If you want to schedule another call for tomorrow or Wednesday, we can do that. But other than that, I will see you guys at noon in the big group. All right, bye.